This is Barnstable Today for Tuesday, April 28th. Welcome aboard. I'm Mark Mumford. And please keep in mind that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us.
The Planning Board closes out the public hearing on the Hilton Garden Inn proposal. That's our focus today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Friel.
Traffic continues to be a hot topic in regard to the 5-story, 132-room hotel that developer Stu Bornstein wants to build on Route 28 in Hyannis near the airport.
Transportation engineer Glenn Cannon from the Cape Cod Commission made a second appearance in front of the Planning Board last evening.
His conclusions on the number of cars that the Hilton Garden Inn would add to the mix have been challenged earlier by the developer's traffic expert. However, the two engineers met and agreed on a peak hour number of 99 cars.
I would say in my last paragraph of my memorandum that my comments still from February 6th memorandum, they still stand. There's still a significant amount of traffic generated by this project on a congested, hazardous section of Route 28 in Barnstable.
Just for my own edification, when you had agreement on, so it's 99, a net of 99 cars, so let's call it 100 for the sake of discussion. That means 50 in and 50 out. Is that how you interpret that?
I don't have that breakdown right in front of me, but that's a close approximation, yes. During the peak hour of the usage of the hotel, I may...
So even if it was 116, which it isn't because that's not a net number, that's the gross number, right? And then you took out existing
Correct.
business numbers, so I think your net number was 99. You just said that.
Correct.
So
The net number
I'm
is
just
99.
adding one to it for the sake of math, okay? So
Yeah, just if I could clarify.
Okay.
I think during the peak hour of the hotel, there would
Yeah.
actually probably be more people coming in than there are leaving. I could look up the number for you. I'm going to estimate. It's
well,
probably,
can you give us that number of what's in and what's out? And,
I probably could.
Can you also let us know what impact buses would have on that number?
Well, that number is generated by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and they don't have a breakdown for me of the number. I don't have the data of the breakdown, the ins and outs in front of me. I'm sorry about that. They don't have a breakdown of the number of buses that are utilizing the facility. So I don't know what impact buses would have. Buses may have no impact on that number. I wouldn't know if that number, that
Includes
99
buses or
includes
not.
buses or not.
Okay. So in your professional experience, you don't know that off the top of your head, for example?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but in my professional opinion, I would assume that it utilizes buses because I think buses are typical for hotels. So it's a typical use for a hotel. I don't think that this hotel really stands out from other hotels as to bus uses. I think buses, I think the applicant will agree that they're almost standard operating procedure for hotels these days. The hotels are looking to take in buses.
Planning Board member Ray Lang offered his assessment of the Hilton Garden Inn's traffic generating profile.
I happened to be at that meeting, as you recall, and I learned a great deal. Specifically, what I also learned is that even though we have a traffic generation plan, like you say, of X numbers of cars a day or trips a day, we discussed further that when people go to motels, they don't stay there. Sometimes they go in, check in, and go out and have dinner, and then come back again. So you said your numbers probably didn't account on that as much as the normal traffic studies that you were quoting from. I think in that particular case, I look at it as what we did at that meeting and what you did, and now it appears to be pretty firm. We were trying to get at a traffic number, and I think we've gotten there. And I think at the end of that meeting there was agreement between you and the traffic engineer, and certainly me and the developer, that the numbers that we said were there are in fact good numbers. And that's where I wanted to get to. Thank you.
Yes, I have confidence in the numbers that are presented to you tonight.
Mr. Mansell?
Yeah. And Ray, do you remember what those numbers were?
Yeah, right here.
Right
here.
Okay, the 70.
They're on both sheets, or they were on both sheets.
Yeah. And again, I want to thank you for getting together and working with the applicant and trying to work something out. Do you remember, were you involved with, we've been comparing this to Circuit City quite often. Do you remember what the traffic count was there?
I can't recall off the top of my head the peak hour traffic counts. I remember the Circuit City was in the range of 1,000 daily trips. I think you should also remember, though, that for Circuit City, much greater credit was giving the fact that there was a former restaurant on the facility.
Developer Stu Bornstein spoke before the planning board again last evening, outlining his interpretation of the traffic numbers for his proposed hotel project.
I was also at that meeting, and I'd just like to add a couple comments to Glenn's comments, if I may. Number one, I guess if you want to use the 99 an hour, it isn't every hour, as the Growth Committee has put in their memorandum, for 8 or 9 hours. I mean, I'm not renting rooms out by the hour, and that's for the 1,400 a day, or 700 in, 700 out. Even if you go on the basis everybody went out for dinner and came back again, that's about 3 times what you'd expect to have. You've been doing this for a long time, and I'll leave it up to your common sense to make sense out of these numbers. Keep in mind that our hotel is only occupied 52 to 54% of the year. This is based on 100% sold out, and also 44% of our business is bus tours, and they primarily come in the summer season when the traffic is the heaviest. Each bus carries from 40 to 50 people, and that represents, if you figure 2 to a car, 20 rooms per bus, and 2 buses, that's 40, and they're multiplying everything by 500, by 5. There's 200 cars that disappear right off the top. Plus they go in and out, so there's 400 cars. I mean, if you use your imagination, I mean, I'd be tickled to death if I could get this much traffic in and out of this, even half of it. I'd be a very happy man. It just doesn't exist. Again, we don't have a restaurant open to the public, and we don't have conference rooms or meeting rooms open to the public, and there's only 132 rooms. And this is what ITE has as a regular business hotel, but not necessarily in a resort. Our business is, if we weren't having bus tours come down here, we wouldn't even be here talking about building this hotel. And that is almost in season, percentage-wise, over half our business. So you can take your 99 cars an hour, or 50 in and 50 out, and literally cut it in half in the real world. And then that's if we're 100% occupied. So I'll leave that up to your imagination of what's right and what's wrong. I can't argue with Glenn. It's what we agreed on. It's what the ITE shows, but they don't take into account resort areas. They don't take into account buses, and they take into account you're 100% occupied all the time.
And we will. That's why we've been trying to gather as much information as we can from all sides so we can weigh it all and make a logical and appropriate decision.
The Planning Board will be digesting the latest information, and Chair Pat Princey says a decision will soon be made on the Hilton Garden Inn.
Meanwhile, if you would like to watch the planning board meetings, they are available on demand at the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us.
Meanwhile, there is plenty on the town calendar this evening, including a school committee meeting in the town hall hearing room starting at 7 o'clock.
Also starting at 7 o'clock, the Charter Commission meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room, and Waterways over in the MEA Conference Room.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kevin Friel.
We'll meet you right back here tomorrow. I'm Mark Mumford.